Hello and welcome everyone. This is your astrology forecast for new moon in Virgo. And this is a really empowering and inspiring new moon and very health oriented, very much about our health and our willingness to be healthy in all areas of our life, not only physically, but of course, including physically, definitely. So we have to nurture ourselves, we have to take care of ourselves, we have to be very much aware of our bodies and our body needs. We have to be aware of the basics in our life and to do everything that we can to improve ourselves and to improve the quality of our everyday life. And we have to start with little things, with little habits. And habits actually play a key role in shaping our character. And habits eventually create us as a personality. So we have to be very, very aware and conscious of the significance of our habits and routines, of our everyday habits and routines. This new moon is happening on the 15th or 14th of September, depending on where we are in the world. And this new moon opens a new cycle. And this is known as the harvesting moon. So we will be harvesting things that we've been doing. We are going to harvest what we have sown. We are going to reap what we have sown. So we are going to see how far we've come, and we will be able to have some kind of download of information where we will be introduced to how we are responsible towards ourselves, our bodies, our journey, towards others in our life. How are we mature? Do we have integrity? Do we have responsibility? Do we know what it means to be of service? And are we being of service to ourselves and to others? Do we know how to be of service? Do we know what that actually means? And we are going to experience this through the archetype of Virgo. And we had full moon in Pisces 2 weeks ago, and together these two create a whole cycle. So full moon in Pisces, new moon in Virgo, they are very much connected, and they are a lot about healing and well-being. And this new moon is really a great opportunity for all of us to start doing things differently in a way that we do them in a better way, that we improve the quality of our life, improve the journey of us into these bodies, to improve our awareness of our bodies as our temples, as our sacred vessels, and to see what amazing things we can do when we are aligned with our bodies, when we are not in disbalance with our bodies, because most of us are in a great disbalance with our bodies. And even if we are doing things that are known as good, we are doing them too much, maybe. For example, people who are exercising, they become obsessed with exercises, they become obsessed with diet, they become obsessed with living healthy, become obsessed with finishing tasks, with being productive, with being efficient, obsessed with being perfect. These are all Virgo archetypes, and we are going to see these energies strongly expressing through ourselves and through others around us. And we may be irritated by those expressions, or we may be triggered by those expressions. And we have to understand what is this archetype of Virgo and what this new moon can bring into our life, and how can we align with those energies in the best possible way. What can we do for ourselves? How can I improve my life on a daily basis? What is really important? What is crucial? So this is the energy of, going back to school after having fun. After holidays, back to school. September, Virgo season, and we had Leo season before Virgo, and Leo is about fun and games and entertainment and creativity. And then comes Virgo, back to business. let's do the math. Let's analyze. Let's finish tasks. Let's, do productive things. Let's be pragmatic. Let's be useful. Do things one after another. It can also be multitasking. So it's very important to learn to discern. This is the highest expression of Virgo is knowing to discern between many things. Knowing to discern between what is worthy and what is not worthy in our lives. What is meaningful, what is not meaningful, what is worth worrying, what is not worth worrying, what is worth fighting, what is not worth fighting, who is worth to be in our life, who is not, and all those kinds of things. It's very important, the knowledge of discernment. And Virgo the Virgin is not really much about virginity and chastity. It's about purity. It's about being pure emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually. It's an alchemical process where we are purging and detoxing ourselves continuously until we, become those. Not until we become. This is why perfection is related to Virgo, because there is always something that is missing. So we are constantly pushed to improve ourselves, which is a good thing, until it becomes an obsession. So it's very good to learn to discern again. And then we are literally polishing ourselves. So Virgo the Virgin is actually the alchemist. The priests or the priestesses are always related to Virgo archetype, the healer, the herbalists, the herbs, the plants, the plant medicines, holistic healing. All these kinds of things are related to Virgo archetype, and we all have Virgo in our chart somewhere, and we all have Virgo part in us, as we have all 12 archetypes within ourselves as well. And Virgin really means self-possessed or self-contained. And a virgin is a free person, being free in all its meaning, following our own morality, based on our own inner integrity, rather than on the laws imposed by society, so social conditioning. So to live fully, the message of Virgo says that in order to live fully, we have to engage with life. We have to be practical. We are embodying the spirit. And Virgo is a reminder, this new moon in Virgo is a reminder for us that matter, because Virgo is earth sign and it's related to matter. And matter is actually spirit. When spirit becomes thick, it's a density of the spirit. That is what matter is. It's not something that is opposite from spirit. It's not something that is against spirit. This is what, maybe we've been taught by all kinds of different social experiments, not to mention any of them now, but we are now learning to decondition ourselves, to reprogram ourselves by, incorporating all of that into one wholeness. So it's about being whole. Because again, Virgo, Virgin, the goddess of grains, the goddess of seeds. And we all have those seeds that we are now planting. We have to be very aware of what are we planting. New moon, again, we are planting some seeds. So let's see what seeds we want to plant, because we have to know what we want to see growing in the future, what we want to grow for ourselves. Where do we want to grow? What is your purpose? What is my purpose? And are we mature enough and are we ready enough to know this purpose? Are we ready to create the purpose? Are we ready to live in alignment with the purpose? Because most of us, we are all looking for some kind of purpose and meaning, but we are actually afraid of finding it. because maybe we are not ready to work in alignment with that purpose, because that would mean that we have to do the hard work. Again, Virgo archetype, hard work. We have to really get down to business, to walk the talk. We have to really do something. And we have to engage with life and allow experiences of life to change us. That means living in accordance with the body's laws and not denying body or not being obsessed with the body, but again, the discernment. We have to accept natural cycles such as aging and death. These are all natural cycles that majority of population denies or are terrified of. And of course, this is a crucial part of life, to accept those natural cycles of life and death and aging. And we are now somehow, with this new moon in Virgo, reminded of those natural cycles, and we can actually become more aligned with them by honoring those things, not by being afraid of them, and also honoring mess in our life, not being afraid of mess, which doesn't mean approving mess. But when mess is already there and we are acknowledging it and we are aware of it and we are aware of what is not right in our lives, we accept it and then we can do something about it. So Virgo is not waiting, we are not waiting for when things are great, when we have ideal conditions. We are not waiting for something there in the future to happen. No, we are going to do now what we have in front, with what we have in front of us, we are going to work with that. And we have to accept our mistakes, we have to accept our weaknesses, accept our blind spots, accept all those things that we don't like about ourselves, and accept that also shame is a natural state of being as well. It's not something we are ashamed of being ashamed, but shame is just a natural human reaction as well. And it's good to have some organic shame, because if we don't have any organic shame, then it's not good. Something is wrong. we don't resonate good. We don't think in a good way. Then some kind of mental and emotional and physical disbalance is on a very high level. So we have to do something real in the world to manifest who we are without losing our inner integrity. And in order to do that, the immature part of us has to die. And this is connected, this can be related to the myth of Persephone and Demeter, the myth that I mentioned many times, because that myth is it's multi-layered and it can be applied in many situations. So Persephone and Demeter is the mother of Persephone, Demeter is the great mother, and they live in a meadow, beautiful, picking flowers, living in balance, everything is nice. And Persephone is the maiden, Demeter is the mother. And then what happens? One day Persephone is kidnapped by the Hades, and she is kidnapped and she is taken into the underworld. So Demeter, the great mother, suffers. She is in a deep grief, and the whole nature is suffering as well. Everything is gray and nothing grows. So the maiden had to die. And the maiden, Persephone, is being transformed into this underworld. She goes through transformation. She has to die for who she was, so that she can be transformed and come back. So there was a contract then made between Hades and Demeter, so that Persephone can be 6 months with her mother and 6 months as the queen of the underworld with Hades. And these are also cycles of winter and summer. When nothing grows, then Persephone is down with the Hades. When things start growing, Persephone is back with her mother. But the point is here that in order to truly take responsibility for who we are and to engage with life, the maiden part in us has to die. That part of us really has to go into the underworld, to be transformed, and to come back as somebody else, but with the experience, with the previous experience as well. So she's now whole. And Virgo archetype can also be seen as the Trinity, the sacred Trinity, the triple goddess known as Hecate as well, and also known as the maiden, the mother, and the crone, or the witch. So these are the three stages, and we all go through these three stages. So the maiden has to die, this first phase of growth and attachment to the mother, attachment to something that gives us life, attachment to everything that is familiar. So we have to detach from what is familiar, go into the underworld, die for who we were, and come back as a different, transformed being. So we are now experiencing something similar, especially because we are already in eclipse season right now. We have 2 eclipses in October, one in Libra, other one in Taurus, and 2 eclipses in 1 month is very intense and very life-changing. So September is already eclipse season, and this new moon in Virgo is like opening of curtains of the scene and the stage where we are going to see how things may be unfolding in the next couple of months for us. So Persephone has to go into the underworld and lose her perfection as maiden. So in the same way, we are now going through similar process, and all of us will be going into that kind of unknown territory where we have to lose something and come back transformed. And this is about becoming integrated and achieving synthesis of the various parts of who we are. And Virgo loves to look at the details, and sometimes Virgo part in us can miss seeing the whole picture, miss seeing the bigger picture, because we are too much focused on details. Sometimes this can be good, sometimes of course it's not good. So we are again learning to discern, and we have to be able to look at the details, to see those small parts, to focus on details, but also to see the bigger picture, to pick up the pieces of who we are and to integrate it, to synthesize all of them, to create some kind of symphony of our being, of who we are. Because we may hear the sound that is completely in disbalance. We may see our own chaos and see our own mess, which is, as I said, very important to recognize. We have to acknowledge our own mess, we have to acknowledge our own chaos, because only then we can work on creating balance between chaos and order within ourselves. So this is the journey. We are on the quest for perfection, and this is actually the alchemical great work of transmuting lead into gold. And the lead can be seen as our mess, our personal mess and chaos, and the gold is when we transform and transmute, and when we are able to bring wealth and health in our everyday life, and actually seeing that health is wealth. We cannot buy health if we are wealthy, but if we are healthy, we are wealthy for sure. And we are going to see these issues of health may be increased during this time. And some of us may be forced to definitely change some of our routines and habits, to change our lifestyle, to change the way we do things, to change our work, to change our jobs, to change whatever it is needed in order to take better care of ourselves. And for some of us, this new moon in Virgo may mean that we have to come back to work, We have to do many things. We will have so many obligations. We won't know what to do first. And it is very important not to overwork ourselves, not to go into extremes, not to, just take everything and say yes to everything. We will have to say no to some things. And for some of us, it will be necessary to take rest. It will be necessary to find time to learn how to rest and how to relax, to relearn how to rest naturally, to see how it is to truly be relaxed, because I am pretty sure that majority has completely forgotten how to rest and relax, including myself, of course. We are constantly anxious, and there is always something that needs to be done, and we cannot even sleep normally. We are over-worried, we are overstressed, and there is so many things to be done. And we even take responsibilities of others on ourselves. So it's very important to know what are our own responsibilities and how much can we do, and what is productive, what is efficient, what is unnecessary, what is unhealthy, what is destructive, what is damaging our health. And of course, also if we are doing a work that is damaging us, that is devaluing us, that is not giving us what we need, and we are giving a lot, it's definitely time for a change. And many people will be changing their job, or changing the way they do their job, or changing their workplace, especially if they work in places that are not healthy, if there is not healthy air, healthy food, healthy routines that people do there. So it's very important to know what we are doing, why we are doing it, and what would we be doing if we didn't have to do it for money. Would we still be doing that? So very, very important, crucial to know what we are doing and why we are doing that, because it will be important in the upcoming period, not only months, but in years. And the perfection that Virgo seeks is actually truly the philosopher's stone that I mentioned in some of my previous videos. But this is not just as an ideal in the part of of Virgo archetype. It's not just about some kind of ideal that needs to be achieved, but it's really practical work. It's a practical expression of wholeness in real life, a life that is embedded in routines and rituals of daily life. So what are my rituals? What are your rituals? Are my rituals and habits and routines helping me reach my highest expression of myself, or are my daily routines and habits just putting me in a mechanical, robotic mode of living everyday life? What kind of life do I have? Would I be attracted by my life if I was looking at my life from somebody else's point of view? Would I be inspired by my life if I was observing my life from somewhere else? If I was seeing my life as a movie, would I be inspired by that life? What kind of everyday life am I living? And we can all do this and put ourselves into that kind of, to see ourselves from that kind of perspective, and see what would we love to change in order to have everyday life that is actually very inspiring, very rich and wealthy and healthy. And these could be very small things, and we can start from changing small things, because those small things lead us towards big changes. And this is what Virgo teaches us, just small things, small daily routines that make us truly devoted. We can be truly devoted to ourselves and to others. Of course, when we are devoted to ourselves from that healthy space, then we can be devoted to others as well. So these are just, some tasks like chopping wood, carrying water, washing dishes, all these kinds of tasks that are just like small tasks, but they create our everyday life. So how are we doing them? Are we just doing them to get them done? Or are we aware of those moments? Are we present in those moments when we are doing everything that we are doing? So when we bring our presence into those moments, we will be able to see the magic of our life, the magic of everything that is happening, the magic of the presence of consciousness. Because when we are present, everything becomes a true piece of art. Everything becomes a healing work. And we are all here to not only to heal, but to become truly present so that we can bring that magic into all little tasks that are, that seem totally boring and uninspiring, but we are the ones who bring inspiration into those things. And we can just we can put a whole life into something that is lifeless, and we can make it alive, and we can make it glitter, and we can connect with it directly. And this is what can bring us joy and pleasure and pure love, actually, when we are present and conscious and aware of those moments, when we are doing whatever it is that we are doing in our everyday life. So, for example, if I'm taking a walk, I'm taking a walk. I'm not thinking about the next thing that I have to do. I'm not thinking about what I will have to do in 10 days. Of course, Virgo archetype is about planning, so we have to have some kind of plan, but planning is not the same as continuously repeating in a loop cycles our plans and our scenarios. And do we have, the worst case scenarios or the best case scenarios? What do we choose? What is more attractive to us? And the desire for perfection is driven by the sense that something is missing, something isn't quite right, something isn't good enough. And this is a kind of inner dissatisfaction. And this inner satisfaction pushes us towards this self-improvement and perfection. So inner dissatisfaction can be used in a very constructive way. So let's use our inner dissatisfaction in order to improve our everyday life, because we will see that something isn't right. Each new cycle is a bit different. This new moon brings some new beginnings, new routines, new possibilities for us to change our lifestyle, to start a new diet, to start a new exercise regime, to completely transform our everyday life, to completely transform our habits and routines, to start doing something differently, to do our job differently, to be of service in a new way, and to see our way of service at all to anyone. And each new cycle is different, even if it repeats, so we will be able to see those differences now, and to see the importance of making those small changes. And we are now able to reach the other shore of who we are, and to see ourselves from the distance, to see ourselves from that other shore, and to see where we are and who we are and how are we moving through life, to see that in a little bit of objective way. And this is where we are being truly introduced to some kind of root knowledge. And root knowledge comes from that inner dissatisfaction as well. And Virgo can bring some crises too. So we will be faced with crises, with our inner crises, with crises in our relationships, with crises with our health, crisis with our mental and emotional health as well, crisis with our addictions, crisis with our weaknesses, all these kinds of things. We will see crises everywhere, and they will be very much related to victimization and martyrdom, self-victimizing ourselves, victim consciousness, very, very deep and profound experiences there, cyclical cyclical patterns of victim consciousness can be truly manifested now on a high level in our personal lives and in lives of those around us. This new moon gives us an opportunity to overgrow that kind of victim consciousness. Now, this new moon makes an opposition with Neptune in Pisces, and Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces, besides Jupiter, who is original ruler of Pisces. And Neptune is in Pisces opposing this new moon, so we will definitely be confronted with our addictions, with our escapisms, as I spoke about in previous video when I spoke about full moon in Pisces. So you can all listen to that one together with this one in order to just comprehend the bigger picture of these energies. And it may feel as if we have to get lost in those victim patterns and find that root knowledge. So even if we fall into that kind of victim consciousness, let's not be afraid of that. Let's see it as an opportunity to reach the root knowledge, or at least reach the root knowledge to some degree. And forces of Virgo and Earth energy is to analyze its left brain hemisphere, and it can reduce our experiences into ones and zeros. And we are not ones and zeros, but sometimes we forget and we become zeros and ones, actually, and we treat others in that way too, and we treat ourselves in that way too. So we fall into algorithms. We become algorithm. We become predictive, even in our even if we are unpredictable, that becomes predictable. Those people, we know they are unpredictable, but we know they're unpredictable, so it becomes predictable again. So we fall into these algorithms and we treat ourselves as zeros and ones. And we cut ourselves into little pieces. We cut ourselves into little roles, like I am this person with this person, I am this person in this situation, I am this in that situation, I am blah 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 blah. So we cut ourselves into little pieces, and we truly we create an inner massacre. So what are we doing? That's the question. What are we doing to ourselves? How am I helping myself, and how am I damaging myself? What prevails? Self-healing or self-destruction? We have to use our 5 physical senses in order to connect with people, to connect with those 5 senses instead of falling into the state of loneliness. And this new moon makes a trine with Uranus. This is what truly is like a gigantic hand that just gives us the hand and pulls us out of the deep waters where we are drowning. And we can just feel out of nowhere inspiration to just stand up and make some radical positive changes in our lives, like done with everything that is damaging. Like we may suddenly see in one moment, we may see a whole span of everything that is not right in our life, and we will just know we have to change it. So we are actually becoming more aware that we are living in a web of life, and that we are never alone, that whatever we do, it affects somebody else, and it affects the others, and it affects their families and their friends. So what I do has consequences in other people's lives too. So it's not just, like what I do with my life is my thing. It's not really. It's my thing, and it's the thing of the universe, it's the thing of my family, it's the thing of my community, it's the thing of everyone around me, it's the thing of air that I'm breathing, water I'm drinking. So everything is connected in this web of life. So what I do has a lot of consequences. So each of us has to become more aware of our own consequences and our actions, and how are we dealing with those consequences. are we responsible? Are we taking responsibility? So we may see that this victimization mode can become strong when we don't want to take responsibility, because it's much easier to fall into that victim consciousness. Then we are then in the self-blaming mode, and we don't take responsibility for anything, or we are just blaming ourselves for that is not taking responsibility. Some people confuse self-victimization with being responsible, and they think if they are continuously saying that they are guilty for everything, that they are the only ones to blame, that they took responsibility for something. But that's not what it truly means. If we take full responsibility of something, we won't be so attached to those things, and we will be able to stand up and say, okay, I'm going to do something about it now. That's how it was, but now I'm going to do something about it. I am not going to end up in a complaining and blaming games. I'm definitely going to do the work to get my hands dirty. Let's do it. And phobias and fears may be coming up too. And these phobias are also very constructive, because they are telling us so much about ourselves and where we are on our journey and what do we have to deal with. And we shouldn't believe that we are victims in any way. The whole universe is set up for us to win in every situation. So let's try to live in accordance to that knowledge of knowing that the universe is truly set up for us to win, and we are never victims. It's just a perception that has been rooted and imprinted in our subconsciousness through generational repetitions. So many of us are now breaking those generational curses. Generational curse is being broken into many pieces, and each of us is responsible for doing it on their own. And then it becomes the collective, it grows on a collective level too. So we will see these generational curses breaking down, and this will be very strong in upcoming months and years too. And if we think of ourselves as victims, we just fall into separation and ignorance. And we should know that ignorance is definitely not a bliss. That is taken out of context. That quote is really like an irony, I would say. It's funny, and no one, should follow that kind of perspective. Let's build our own perspective. Let's build perspective that is empowering, that is not helping us fall into ignorance and self-victimization, but let's grow into our own healers, into our own messiahs, into our own teachers. Let's try to be inspiration to ourselves. And if we just fall asleep and entertain ourselves, we become lazy and passive, and we lose our power. We give our power away. So entertainment, I'm not saying entertainment is bad, but if we just become obsessed with entertaining ourselves constantly and distracting ourselves with all kinds of things that there are millions of distractions, especially in this day and age, then we definitely become passive. We become mentally, emotionally, and physically passive, and we definitely lose our power. We forget our true powers. So we have to balance with this energy between hard work and no work at all. So we have to know when enough is enough. And we can easily lose our power and root knowledge of why we are here, and we actually lose control. We lose control of knowing who we are. And Virgo is about purging, purifying, cleansing, cleaning, clearing out, sorting out, preparing ourselves to come into the world. And we are now birthing new reality for ourselves. We have an opportunity to birth a new reality, to birth something that is truly healthy. And we are on the threshold, definitely, and we have to be willing to live on the edge of knowing and not knowing, and being okay with not being perfect. This need for perfection is actually encoded into all of us, and this is why we are so egocentric in many ways, because we want to be the best, the smartest, the strongest, the richest, the most beautiful. In every way we want to be on the highest level, and everyone thinks that they are special. They are special, but this is true. We all are special, but it doesn't mean that I am more special than you are, or that you are more special than I am. We are all special in our unique expressions. But the problem is that we think we have to be special in comparison to everyone else, which is just a messy and tricky game. It's impossible. So we are now birthing this new reality, and we have to take care of our bodies, of our temples. And it's important to be healthy and healing, to be aware of the importance of continuous healing. And we have to make right choices. We always have free will to make right choices. So why do we make wrong choices then? Now that we know these things, why would we make the wrong choice? So we have to learn to discern in order to know how to make the right choice, and in order to know what is good choice and what is not a good choice. Even though eventually every choice will lead us towards where we are supposed to be, but some things are not necessary. There is suffering that is necessary, but there is also something that is called unnecessary suffering. So we are somehow pushing ourselves into that unnecessary suffering over and over again. That is what this victimization mode is about. So we are now getting out of that and realizing that none of us is victim. And it's a very strong pattern that is installed within ourselves, that victim mode. But we are going to see it strongly in many of us. We will see it strongly. It will be easy to spot it, to see it in others, to see how we behave in accordance to those things. So we have a freedom and a right to choose how we handle our own bodies. So we are going to see how we are doing it, and we are going to be focused a lot on healing. We are focused on growth process, and we are going to see why we are where we are, and it will be also very clear to us. And we are going to see what we are committed to. What am I committed to, and is that thing that I'm committed to constructive or destructive? Who am I committed to? Many people are afraid of what they are committed to, but we will have to face it. And we will have to see how we are filling the space. What is my role in this space? How am I filling it? Am I filling it appropriately, or am I overfilling it? Or is there missing piece in that fulfillment there in the space where my role should be? So we may be impatient to fix it all at once, to fix it all right now, but let's be patient, focused on simple things, small, simple things, one step at a time. And this trine with Uranus can really bring us sudden awakening, like out of nowhere. very, very real and tangible change, because Uranus is in Taurus, in earthly Taurus, and this new moon and sun are in Virgo, and Mercury, the ruler of Virgo, is also in Virgo, retrograde. And very strong energy, very strong mental energy as well, strong awakening, like very strong shock that can happen. And those shocks can be very productive too, because this shock that happens can wake me up. Like, we see something and say, wow, I cannot believe I didn't see it until now. I have to change this. What was I thinking? What was I doing? How was I living? So there is something that definitely shifts, and this will be a positive change, because this is a trine energy, very supportive and harmonious energy. So we are going to question ourselves, to ask ourselves, are we healing or are we wounding in our relationships with ourselves and in our relationships with others as well? Are we healing or are we wounding? And we may fall into those tricks and addictions of, overstimulation, overeating, overspending, overworking, overloading, over everything that is overdone. So let's be aware that there is a possibility for those overdoings, and we have to release things. We have to drop some habits, to stop putting things off, to do things now, and to walk out of certain cycles and circles and needs that we don't really need. We are going to see many wants and needs that we don't actually want and need anymore at all. And we may see that we have many nervous habits. I call them nervous habits because we will see that they become as a fear of stagnation. So these nervous habits will be exposed as well, and we will see ourselves in a completely new way. We will see all our habits and routines and our service to us and others in a different way now, in a way that will be probably sobering and awakening and shocking, probably. And we can be wealthy and we can live in abundance without having much. That's abundance is priceless, and we are also going to understand what is true abundance and how is it priceless. And we are going to work on giving ourselves more and more healthy experiences, and we are also going to understand what it means to have a healthy experience. And we are also going to see how do we feel without things that we identify ourselves strongly with. We identify ourselves with many habits and routines that we do during the day. But what happens when we stop doing those things? Who we are then? Who am I when I stop doing my everyday tasks? How that changes me? So let's experiment, let's try changing some things that we do every day that make us feel authentic and unique. And let's see how identified we are with our routines and habits, and how healthy or unhealthy that is. And we are able to see ourselves beyond those routines and habits, see ourselves beyond the job, beyond the work that we have to do, beyond everything that defines us. See yourselves, let's see ourselves beyond everything that defines us. And this is something that can give us a sense of relief, a freedom, a true sense of freedom. And Virgo part in us likes to pick everything apart and can be quite critical of self and others. But we are encouraged to slow down and to see our judgments, to see our criticism, to see how we deal with, how we handle those critics and crises and judgments. And we can go a little bit backwards. We can step back and see things like in a slow motion, and this will help us because we can slow down everything, slow down, just, slow motion. Take rest, breathe deeply, take a couple of deep breaths and just tune into breathing. This will help us, find ways to communicate with ourselves normally and maintain a sense of humor as well. This energy can really help us maintain a sense of humor when we are able to see what we are doing and how our daily life is going, and where is it going, and what are we doing. Are we behaving like total maniacs, like completely crazy, chaotic persons? Or do we have some, how would I say that? Do we have some natural flow that just creates and intertwines with life? Or are we just cutting ourselves into pieces? So it's very important not to take things too seriously, especially not taking ourselves seriously and our thoughts. So remember, whatever comes, let's just, find way to see the funny side of it, to laugh at ourselves a little bit. This is something that is truly important. And we have to accept the mess that I spoke about, accept our personal mess, and to work with our mind and body, and to see that there are things that we have to finish, things that we have to do, but there is definitely time when we have to rest. And what do we do in our free time? What do we do in our free time? That's it. That is real question. How do we use our free time? How do we manage our time? And what are our priorities? Who are our mentors? It's very important to have a mentor in life, to have at least some kind of mentor. It doesn't have to be a physical person in front of us. It can be somebody's teaching of ancient masters, for example. But who are our mentors, and what do we do in our free time, and how is that connected? Because we will see how that is connected. And we will have to also find balance between daydreaming and daily work. We cannot only daydream and we cannot only work. We see that humanity today is somehow divided and separated into these two boxes of either dreamers or workers. And we have dreamers and workers. We have spiritualists and we have materialists. But it's nonsense. There is no such thing, actually. We are all everything. And we have to integrate all of that into the whole. And we have to see where we are overgiving, over-providing, overdoing, and where do we need some time for ourselves. And we have to understand what is serving us and what is not serving us. And how do we communicate our needs, not only with others, but with life. How do I communicate my needs with myself? And this can have a very strong influence on the digestive system. This is Virgo, digestive system. And digestive system is very important. It rules our complete health, actually. We have to take care of what kind of food we eat and how do we eat. It doesn't really matter what kind of food, but more how we eat, how much we eat, why we eat. Do we eat when we are hungry, or do we eat when we are nervous, or do we eat when we want to satisfy the taste, or what are our motives? And not only physical food, but mental and emotional food. What kind of food do we take in, and what do we have to take out of our system? Because there will be a lot that we will have to take out of our system, and we are breaking habit patterns we are definitely breaking habit patterns, and we will see many of them. We will see how destructive they are, and we will be able to transform them into something very constructive. And this gives us an opportunity to see that something that was difficult in our life, that we are used to being difficult, we will see that it doesn't have to be difficult anymore. We can change it, we can transmute it, we can, alchemize it. And we don't have to torture ourselves out of habit, because we will see that many of us are actually torturers of ourselves, because we are just accustomed to torture ourselves. We are doing it out of habit. So we will be able to break those habits and to do things effortlessly. And this will be the hard work that we will have to do. We will see how hard it is to do things effortlessly and to be effortless. That is hard work as well. So for all of us, doing hard work may have different meaning. But whatever it is for each of us, it will be given to us to do it. So we have to clear ourselves. It's cleaning time. Purify, detoxify, heal. And we don't have to have everything planned to detail. We don't have to have it all. And, we may be faced with some crucial questions like what truly matters and what will truly be of greatest importance when I'm facing death. What is truly important when people are dying? How aware am I of my mortality? These things are very strong because, as I said, we are in eclipse season, and eclipses bring those kinds of fatal questions and experiences. So it can be messy, it can be conflicting, it can bring feelings of shame, and we may feel embarrassed even. This is all normal. We are not Mr. and Mrs. Perfect. We have to accept natural cycles and natural emotions, natural feelings, organic feelings. So, some will learn to fly during this time, but some will fall. And it's okay, even if we fall, we will again stand up, and once we will learn to fly as well. So, we are either learning to swim or we are drowning. And we may feel as we are drowning, but as I said, there will be this hand that gives us a pull. And many of us will learn to swim now in this madness and chaos of our personal disbalances. And, we can bring heaven into our body. And we may be asking ourselves, who is inside of me? Who is inside of me? And this question can have a deep echoing effect on our whole life. Who is inside of me? Who is breathing? Who is looking? Who is asking these questions? These kinds of things are very, very important. And we may see that we are all therapists to one another. We are all our own saviors, our own messiahs, as I said. We have to recognize ourselves and understand that when we let go, we transmute. This is when transmutation happens, when we are able to let go of something and to take full responsibility without falling into self-victimization. We have chosen this exact path and journey for a reason. We came with certain tasks and depths, and shades and shadows help us see the light. So, we may get lost in shadows now, but they will help us find the light. And this Virgo archetype, Virgo part in us, notices everything, every stain. It notices everything and it wastes nothing. So it's very important to be alert and to notice things and to waste nothing. Use all resources that we have. Relax our muscles as well. Relax any kind of tension in our body. Let's work towards physical relaxation. and it will be important to be able to respond with kindness despite the provocations, despite all the triggers that we feel, and tune into the art of discernment and understand that only what is broken will be impacted. Only things that are broken and that are cracked will be impacted now. And if that thing is exposed, the solution will come naturally, for sure. So whatever comes up during this time, it will come up because it's broken and it needs to be fixed and it needs solution. And we will have many, many reality checks. And the path of escape or addiction will be very, very highly targeted. We will see it. We are exposing our ugly details and we are addressing those areas where we are ashamed. So we have to focus on what's real, what's healthy, and what's good for us. We have to purge what's toxic. And, we can just reassess our judgments. So let's take full responsibility. Let's give our best to be useful, to be of service, to be healthy, to heal, to feel, to purify, to detox, to do changes that will bring us in alignment with our root knowledge and that will wake up our inner healers, our inner messiahs, our inner priests and priestesses. And with this, I would end this forecast with for this new moon in Virgo. And I invite you all to just allow your mess to come up, allow the chaos to burn us, because this will be the process of detoxification, of letting it all out, of transmutation, of turning lead into gold, of alchemizing our pain and suffering into something that has a potential to become our root knowledge, our true navigation. And there is a sense of busyness, and this busyness can open up many layers of our personal mess. So let's see how busy we are, what we do with our free time, what we do with our schedules, what we do with our health, with our bodies, with our senses, and why we are where we are. And I just want to thank you all for amazing comments as always. They are truly so inspiring and they always give me a boost to just improve everything that is being shared here. And I am immensely grateful for all your comments and for your presence and for your intention and willingness to be here to cooperate and collaborate with yourselves and with everyone around you. So I just wanted to thank you all. I love you and see you in 2 weeks. Bye bye.